Cool. Hi, friends. How are you? Welcome because this week we are going to be talking about three of my biggest business failures. And I'm not going to lie, it's a little awkward. It's not something that I woke up today and be like, you know what I want to talk about? My biggest mistakes. But you want to know what? I firmly believe that I can chat how to turn failure into success. Because in order to talk about something, you actually have to have gone through it, right? Like you actually have to make a movement towards that thing. So I actually have had years of conversations with my mentor, James Wedmore. He has been, pretty pivotal in growing my business. So as I talk to y'all about what it means to grow through and change failures, I want to tell you something that he had mentioned to me. And he broke out and just said, quite honestly, Jasmine, we don't have failures, we have lessons. Now, I get it. That probably sounds like very woo, but I am here to tell you that that had changed my business. I was able to become a very different business person when I stopped defining my business by failures and success and then defined it by lessons. So, in light of that, I'm going to walk you through three personal business lessons. Now, I'm going to just come out here and just ask for exactly what I want. And what I want is a little bit of empathy and sensitivity. Now, I didn't say sympathy or pity. I just said empathy and sensitivity. Why? I'm talking about really personal things. And I think that people have the opinion, like to have an opinion rather quickly. But I am looking back and I'm sharing these lessons with you because I realize I could have and I should have done better, but I've learned and I'm wiser. So if you would like to hop on this lesson train with me, let's get into lesson number one. Don't run the risk of getting in over your head. So I'm about to tell you right now that I'm the kind of person that likes to look at it and then jump in and be like, I'll just figure it out later, like later. So what I decided to do is host my very first live event. Now, this live event was called Path to Profitability, and we did it in 2016. So I was like, I have this vision that I want to go to two cities. I want to go to Dallas. I want to go to Los Angeles. And I want to bring 100 business owners into each of these live events. And I'm going to teach them everything I know about building a brand and marketing on social media. But I don't want to do anything half but because we're family friendly, right? I don't want to do anything half but. So what did I do? Well, I had invested in creating a workbook, printed out as a magazine. I had a live event. I had people show up. I had it decorated. And here's the honest part of it. It's like I just didn't hire one videographer. I hired like 9 videographers. I just didn't have like an event where like people just show up. No, we had food. And at the end, we toasted with champagne. And I was like, I want to do this so extra. I want to make sure that when people walk away, they're like, dang, that was just so over the top. But what people don't know was that behind the scenes, this event costed 6 figures. We spent 6 figures putting on an event. That is way too much. For the first time I am putting on a live event, I don't know what I'm doing. I literally think that people saw me and they're just like, cha-ching, like there goes a naive girl who has no idea what she's talking about. So if we tell her this is how much it's cost, then she's just going to agree to it. And I did. I was so gullible, but it doesn't stop there. Because at the same time that I'm doing this live event, trying to prove to somebody, and that somebody was my fear. I was trying to prove to somebody, like I can make this happen, that this is going to happen. At the same time, let me tell you a few other things that were happening in my personal life. We had bought a house and we renovated the house. So I should probably take a second stop there because I'm literally having PTSD. Is we bought a house and it was literally like, we'll just fix the floors. And then all of a sudden they're on the floors and they're like, oh, we need to fix the foundation. And we're like, okay, well, we fix the foundation. We got to fix the roof. It was like literally one thing led to another. And I was like, sweet baby Jesus, where is this money coming from? I stopped booking photography clients to see if I can actually do this little event and get into education. And I stopped creating third-party content, which means I stopped creating education for other places that were selling. So I stopped my revenue stream from my photography business. I stopped a revenue stream from third-party teaching. I invested in a live event and I invested in a house. And all of a sudden, I couldn't sleep at night because I was paralyzed by the fact that I had no money. I told JD, I was just like, I am sorry. I think I really screwed up. I told him, I think I'm actually in over my head and I don't know what to do. I started looking for small business loans to take, and I was just like, what am I going to do? I think I really screwed up. But here's where things get a little tricky because I was stubborn. I was just like, I refused to be marked by this failure. I refuse. So I just started hustling. Just started taking whatever I could, whatever photo gigs I could to pay the bills. But the thing I wish I can go back to myself and say is you don't have to prove anything to anyone ever. That when you want to do something for your business or on behalf of your dream, it doesn't have to be great. In fact, your first time that you do a dream, do it for as cheap and as simple and as like hustler, grassroots, ghetto fab as you can, because you learn so much through the process. So what did I learn? The first time you do something, it doesn't have to be perfect. It barely has to be good. The first time you do something, you, me, many of us, we put this pressure on ourselves that like, oh my God, this is the first time, I have to do it and I have to do it well. And then when it doesn't turn out the way that we want, we feel like we're scarred or we feel like we're bruised or we feel like we're broken or we feel like we suck. And that suck, we want to get away from it. We want to repel and we don't want to try it again. But you know what? My good friend Lewis Howes said the only way we move past fear of failure is to put ourselves out again and again until the sting disappears. We have to put ourselves out again and again until that sting disappears. And let me tell you, I have done other live events from there, and guess what? They're so simple. They're so simple. They're so simple. You would be like, dang girl, I know. I learned my lesson. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be good. I have to serve people well. But hey, bells and whistles, don't fake the funk if you ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? Lesson number 2 was to listen to others. I don't know about you, but like, I'm not so good at taking advice from others until all of a sudden it slaps you in the side of your face. So biggest lesson I learned. So let me take you a little bit of backstory to talk about how stubborn I am. Many of you know that in July 2017, we launched Social Curator. And then we launched Social Curator again in October 2017. And I talked to my husband, who's my business partner, and I was like, listen, I don't want to know any of the numbers. I just want to focus on taking this business. Like, this is my dream. I want to get it done, but I don't want to look at it as have it be a success or a failure. Because I think by this time, I'm feeling rather enlightened. When in all actuality, I had a full-on, full-fledged wake-up call 6 months later. My husband sat me down and he said, you said that you didn't want to talk about numbers for the first 6 months because you just wanted to see if this business would work. He's like, well, I have good news and I have not so good news. And I was like, great. And he's just like, the good news is that the business is working. And I was like, great. And I was like, what's the bad news? He's like, well, we haven't grown. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? Like, we've had all these promotions and I've been doing classes and I'm doing all these things. And like, we brought a whole bunch of people in. And he's like, yeah, a bunch of people came in and a bunch of people left and a bunch of people came in and a bunch of people left. So we haven't grown. And I was just like, what the heck? Hey, that was a little drive-by of a baby. Did you guys catch that? Hey, she just woke up from her nap. Her dad is on, so I did the morning feeding. Her dad is on the midday feeding. And mama's out here working. Can I get an amen? Okay, so let's go back to this thing. So I look and I realize, like, the hard realization as you run a business is that you're not moving forward. You're barely keeping your head above water. And my husband said the biggest reason that people are leaving is because they don't think that this is capable for them. Like they can't get the same results. But I was thinking, wait a minute, we're seeing all these people get all of these success stories, doing all these things, like radically changing their business. Like, what the heck? What do you mean? And for 6 months, he kept on telling me, you know what, Jasmine? We need a Facebook group. And for 6 months, I said, no, I'm not, because I hated Facebook groups. I was like, Facebook groups, I have been ripped apart. People have said the meanest, most hateful, vile things about me in Facebook groups. And I was like, I refuse to have a Facebook group that would ever tear anybody down, that would ever talk trash or rip people apart, because that is the only experience that I have had with Facebook groups. I was like, heck no, I'm not doing that. You freaking crazy? Yeah, right. And then all of a sudden, JD's like, Jasmine, if you want to connect people around a big mission, we have to connect with them in a personal way. So I am telling you that right now, the minute I listened and took the advice from other people, the minute I took a step back and I said, Jasmine, it's not about you, it's about the people you serve. So the minute that I started serving people within my business, things radically changed. So what did I learn from about this huge, massive mistake? Listen, baby boo, it's not about you. You need to create the thing that you dream of. Because my friend Amy Porterfield said, she's like, it felt like my dreams had burned to nothing more than a spark, but they came back as a roaring flame. And I am telling you right now that when I started my business and I was just like, I think I'm a failure. I can't even move the needle in this own business. I felt like I had been burned down. But just like the phoenix, we shall rise, because from the ashes we will come up like a roaring flame. Can I get an amen? But the lesson is, do you have enough humility to say, it's not about me, but about the people that I am serving? So lesson number 3 is to set your priorities. I'm gonna come out and say something that I'm a little bit embarrassed of. When I started my business, I dated my computer more than I dated my husband. I was at this point where I was like waking up very early in the morning and going to bed very late at night. I had a part-time job. I couldn't balance everything. So I would come home, we'd have dinner together, and then I'd be like, okay, let me just work for an hour and then I'll see you and we'll like catch up tonight. And then that hour would turn into 2 hours and then 3 hours. And that just became a pattern. And I kept on saying, what you see, you don't understand. I'm trying to build my business. I'm trying to build my business. And then all of a sudden, I got a call that changed everything. I got a call from a good friend, and she had said that her husband had hit his head, and they had a scan of his brain, and they discovered that there was a tumor inside of his brain, and they gave him very little to no time to live. And so she called me from the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, and she had said, I think he's gonna die. And I was crying with her, and I was just like, I'm sorry, what can I do? Like, what can I do? How can I help you? And she said, the only thing that you can do to help me right now is, she's like, can you please pray for me? And then can you go and kiss your husband and let him know that you love him? I hang up the phone. I'm sitting in my stairwell, and I call out to my husband, who had fallen asleep on the couch, and I said, and I couldn't even get the words out. And my husband had said, what is going on? Tell me what is going on. And then I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for screwing up. I'm sorry for loving my business more than I loved our relationship. And if I ever lost you, I would lose everything, and I'm doing it wrong. So my commitment to you is to learn how to balance having a business and creating a family with you, and I'm sorry. So what did I learn? I learned that setting priorities sets parameters. Setting priorities sets parameters, because when you say that God, your business, your partner, your children, your parents, whatever your priorities are, and your business could be your priority. Hey, no tea, no shade. But for me, my priorities were God, family, and business. And what I kept on doing was putting business above all. So when I set my priorities, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not the kind of life that I want to have. My good friend and mentor, James Wedmore, says, we must make the conscious decision to reframe our situation. We can choose to believe we failed, or we can choose to believe that we learned a lesson. So friends, I just revealed 3 of the biggest lessons that I learned. And I hope that by having the conversation, the thing that made me uncomfortable, what we're actually doing is bringing out into real life a question that whenever I hit rock bottom, or whenever I was going through a really hard time, what I would ask myself is, why do I feel so alone? Like, why is this happening to me? But once I shifted from saying, why is this happening to me? I should say, what is this trying to teach me? What do I need to learn? And if you ever feel alone because you're just like, I'm doing this by myself, I have to tell you something and be real and let you know that what I discovered is that we are only alone if we keep people out of our story. I am out here inviting you into this story because I'm telling you, please watch, not for failures, but for lessons. I am now here to tell you proud that my husband and I have structure around building our family and having a business. I'm here to tell you that I don't need, lesson number one, I don't need to put on fancy things to prove that I matter, to prove that I belong, to prove that I'm good enough to do the thing that I want to do. Lesson number two, a lesson in humility. You don't always have the right answers. Are you humble enough to say, get out of the way and serve your clients and your customers well? That is the thing that I really, really, really hope. Because if we have a real conversation, the question then becomes, how do we get up from failure? Real talk. We learn a lesson and then we try again. That is all we can ever do. So as we get in to answering your questions, please feel free to leave your questions here. We could talk about, of course, marketing our business and building a brand. That's like my jam. I could talk about that all day. But if you ever just want to have like real talk about what's stopping us from reaching a new level, what is stopping us from vibrating to serve our clients well, what is stopping, like, let's have a conversation, because it's always going to boil down to one of two things: working hard and being nice to people. So friends, family, saints, and ain'ts, let's have a conversation. I am here to support you. I show up every week just as a place of service to say, how can we really legit connect? So let's get into some of those questions. Maria said, cute baby alert. Hey, my 8-year-old daughter just saw you and said, aw, her daughter said something very sweet, but if I read it out loud, it'll feel like a humble brag, and mama ain't here for that game. Darren Fleming said, I suspect your idea of no money is somewhat different to mine. Darren Fleming, zero is zero, you know, like, that's just real talk. Like, I'll be honest with you. I went to Kabbage.com, no, it's not an endorsement, to file for a business loan. Now, I didn't end up going through with it because I was able to get a couple side hustle gigs that was able for us to like pay our mortgage and pay our car. And I'm very proud to say that we haven't gone in debt for the business because we pay for things cash. But that lesson for me was to see what I was made of as an entrepreneur. Because it's one thing to have a success path that looks like this. But it's another thing to have a success path go like this and then come here. Because if we're here, we have the decision to say, I'm going to stay here, I'm too scared, or we have the decision to come back up and learn what we have learned. Because a real entrepreneur is somebody whose career path goes like this, like this, like this. Like, if we think that entrepreneurship is only an ever ascent, I'm like, I hate to break the news to you, but entrepreneurs are the strongest who've been at the bottom and found a way to rise again. And I am telling you that I had never been more humiliated to look at my husband, my business partner, my soulmate, and say, I think I screwed up. So when Darren says, I think our definition of not having money is different, no, Darren, zero is zero, homie. Like, real legit talk. And when you get to the bottom, you have a far greater gratitude and savory notion of what it feels like to be on the rebound. And let me tell you something, Darren, and anybody else who's listening, whoever has a doubt, the biggest lesson I learned is that come hell or high water, you have to have a side account that is just for your business. JD and I, let's have real talk. Let's just, we're about to peel back some layers. Right now, what's going on with COVID and what's going on Corona and what's going on with quarantine is affecting a lot of businesses. I have encouraged business owners to keep a small little stash for a rainy day. And what I preach is what I practice. But I preach that and I practice it because I know what it feels like to have nothing. I know what it feels like to have a mistake, and I know what it feels like not to have a stash for a rainy day. So I'm just out here being like, when we make it through, because we will, when we make it through, what are you learning here today? Darren, Susan, Karen, David, Bob, what are we learning here today? That when we make it through, we're going to stash away. So every time I get a paycheck, a certain percentage goes away, not to the rainy day fund. I don't call it a rainy day fund, but it's like a rainy day fund. Okay, so Shauna Campbell says, I don't always make tons of money, but I always make sure that my clients are happy with the services that I offer them and they refer me afterwards. So, success. Yes, Shauna. Yes. The power isn't whether or not can you start a business. Anybody can start a business. The power, Shauna, is can you stay in business? That's the power. And referrals are staying in business. Referrals are power. Clap that on up, Queen. Inga had said, can I ask how long you've been doing your business? At the moment, I'm knees deep in comparison land because everything seems so slow and I have more time to look around. And when I look at you and people I admire, I think that I'm just too different. I'm years behind. I'm hustling so hard every single day and I'm 2 years in and I would love to know a little part of the consistency and showing up. Oh my God, Inga, you've been doing this for 2 years? Girl, buck up, Buttercup. Tighten that belt a little more. Put on some combat boots because you have a decade in front of you before you can ever think that you're moving too slow. But here's the thing. I'll be empathetic. Every entrepreneur who starts a business, even if it's an iteration of their business, feels exactly like you. Let me just tell you something, Inga. I feel like I'm running through molasses right now. I feel like I'm in the Amazon jungle trying to move stuff out of the way. I, Inga, feel just as behind as you do. Until I make the decision to say behind is a mindset. How about instead of saying I'm behind, I say I'm right where I'm supposed to be? That everything I want and desire, if I had that now, I wouldn't be prepared for it. If I had everything I wanted right now, it might come at the cost of things that I hold dear. God, my family, my creativity. Because if everything that I want right now is this beautiful tech company and a private jet and a mansion and a chef, and if in the process I got all of that, but it came at the cost of my sanity, my joy, my child, my family, God, I'm not winning. I'm just rich. And my level of success isn't to be rich. My level of success is to live life on my own terms and be fulfilled. And if in the process I make some money, okay, yes, I'll do that. But I don't need success to make me feel I'm in the right spot. Inga, I'm going to invite you to stand next to me and say, you know what? There's good days and there are bad days. But I'm doing something I love. Do I wish I was ahead of where I am today? Yes. But if I look back in the past, I can say, thank God for how far I've come and thank God for how far I'm going to go. But right now, instead of saying I'm not where I want to be, I just want to say I am thankful for where I am because I am farther today than I was yesterday. And tomorrow I will be farther than I was today. To that, I say continue. Let us move forward. Okay. Irene said, how do you stay motivated in your business? Jasmine asking for a friend. I stay motivated, darling, because I know what it feels like to be sad, overwhelmed, and miserable doing something I never wanted to do. I was sad, overwhelmed, and miserable in law school. I was sad, overwhelmed, and miserable in a marketing job. I was sad, overwhelmed, and miserable when I sat in an office, which was actually just like a broom closet in my dad's church when I didn't have a job and I needed to get some money. And I was like, Dad, what can I do? And I just burned CDs for part of his national radio show because he has a national radio show as his pastor. It was nepotism at its finest. And I was thankful for the job, but I was like, I'm tired of sitting in a broom closet. I know what it's like to sit in an hour and a half traffic one way and an hour and a half traffic coming back to what it is that I do. I have tasted success and I have tasted failure. I have learned to live with little and I have learned to live with much. And in all of those things, the reason I stay motivated is because, dang it, I'm not in a cubicle. Dang it, I am not sitting in traffic. Dang it, I'm not working for the man. Dang it, I'm doing something that I love. How do I stay motivated? I never want to look backwards. I am so thankful for what I learned and the lessons that in my life that once it was. And I said, I love it and I'm thankful for it, but I don't ever want to go back. So every day when I get up and I'm tired and I'm stressed and I'm just like, oh, it's just another day of quarantine. It's another day of unpredictability. I'll say, oh no, not today. Because I would rather work 17 hours a day for myself than to work 7 hours for somebody else. That is the plight and plot and lot of entrepreneurs. So, Irene, when you're feeling unmotivated, I want you to say, what do I want to work towards? Do I want to work towards more of the same? Or do I want to work towards my level and version of freedom? Because if that's that alone will motivate you, hands down. Kristen Estes, J-Star, what do you recommend in seasons when you're trying to build your business, but your capacity has changed? Without going into it, I'm in a season where I have to focus on my health and I don't want my energy levels, I don't have normal energy levels, trying to have grace for myself, but getting frustrated and feeling behind. Kristen Estes, let me just tell you something. God has blessed me with a child. I have waited for this baby girl. I can't even. I'm going to get a little teary-eyed just talking about it. Hold on. Okay, got it. I'm back. I have waited for this baby girl for so many years, and every door had closed. Nope, I think I'm going to lose it. Okay, I'm back. Somebody had said if you want to cry, you just clear your voice, and it, helps you. So, all right, I'm here. I have to say that it's everything I've ever wanted and imagined, having a baby. I also have to say, hot dang, having a baby is hard. You know, it's like, I tell JD, I'm like, why do I always feel so tired? I'm so tired. I feel like at the end of the day, I'm just clawing my way to get through the tasks. Whereas before, when I had a baby, I was like, watch me work. I'm a little machine. Yes, I am getting stuff done. Productivity overload. Yes. I was just like a freaking Clydesdale. I was like the Budweiser Clydesdale, get my work done. And now I'm like, oh God, sweet God, how am I going to do this? But I think to myself that overwhelm is the abundance of things I have asked for. Let that settle. Overwhelm is the abundance of things that I have asked for. Are you overwhelmed because you're homeschooling? Guess what? In the back of your mind, you probably said, I wish I had more time to spend with my kids. I wish I had quality time. Guess what, baby boo? You got lots of quality now. Lots of quality. When you said, oh, I really wish that I had more time to focus on learning a new skill. We got time right now. So, Kristen, you're saying that you're focusing on your health. Is there any way that you could say you being overwhelmed by not getting everything that you want to get done, that your life has slowed to a certain way so that you could stop and smell the proverbial roses? I think so. I hope so. Because what I have learned in just the 5 weeks of being a mom is that she slows the world down. Luna slows. Oh, look, her name is Luna, which means moon in Spanish, and her name is Luna Sol, which means moon and sun in Spanish. And I say she slows the world down. She's changed my entire orbit. But I can choose to be upset about the time that I'm losing and I'm not getting my work done and I'm not working fast or as productive as I was. Or I could choose to say, she is my greatest teacher. She's teaching me how to reprioritize, and she's teaching me how to be 100% present. I'm 100% present on work. And when I close this computer, I want to be 100% present with her. So, Kristen, I invite you to take a different look at your exact situation. And whenever you are tempted to say you're not running as fast as you should, you don't have the things that you should, I'm going to invite you to say, I am where I am supposed to be. I have what I am supposed to have. And I will appreciate what I have in this moment. Because if we don't appreciate what we have now, it's impossible for us to appreciate what we want and what we get in the future. So, on that note, we show up for 20-something minutes every week. We are just about at the 29-minute marker. I have nothing but love and gratitude for all of y'all, and I hope you have a great and fantastic week. Much